Hello dear students, I am Dr. Pratap Naikwade. Welcome to your favorite channel, PVN Science Study.
In this video, we will study reproduction in Funaria. We will see vegetative as well as sexual reproduction in Funaria. Funaria reproduces vegetatively as well as sexually. That is, two methods of reproduction. Vegetative reproduction is present in the juvenile stage, that is the protonema stage. So this is the protonema stage. Protonema is a filamentous and a transitory stage consisting of two types of the branches. The branches very near the soil surface or erect with cells having numerous conspicuous chloroplasts are called as chloronemal branches. So this is the chloronemal branch. They have perpendicular cross walls. These branches are photosynthetic in nature as it contains the chloroplast. While some branches penetrate substratum and are without chloroplast, having oblique cross walls. These are called as rhizoidal branches. So as you can see here, this is the rhizoidal branch. The main function of this rhizoidal branch is absorption of water and mineral salts. The buds are developed on the chromonemal branches, each of which ultimately grows into new erect leafy gametophore or moss plant. As we have already discussed, the vegetative reproduction only takes place in this juvenile stage, that is the protonema. It reproduces vegetatively by 5 different methods. First method is multiplication of protonema. The primary protonema breaks into small segments because of the death and decay of the intermediate cells. The separate segments divide and form new protonema. The buds on the secondary protonema develop into new gametophore. Then the second method is secondary protonema. Any cells of the endured portion of the leaf, stem or the rhizoid develops into filamentous structures when the conditions are favorable. These are called secondary protonema, as you can see here. The buds on the secondary protonema develop into new gametophore. Third is tubers. In unfavorable conditions, the testing buds called tubers are developed underground singly on rhizoids and stem. These are spherical storage organs containing starch. On the return of favorable season, the tuber germinates to form a protonema. From the buds developed on this protonema, new gametophores are formed. Earlier, these tubers were also known as bulbils. So this is a tuber or the bulbil. Fourth method is gimme. So these are gimme. When the plant is exposed to unfavorable conditions or during the injury, the terminal cells of the leaves, stem or even protonemal branches form gimme. The cells of gimme are thin-walled and contain chloroplast. The gimme are detached and after detachment they germinate to produce protonema or directly develop into the new leafy gametophores of Funaria. And the last method is apospory. Formation of gametophore directly from the unspecialized vegetative cells of the sporophyte without undergoing meiosis and spore formation is called apospory. The cells divide to give rise to protonema on which buds arise, which in turn develop into new gametophores. Thus, the gametophores are diploid in this condition. Sexual reproduction takes place by formation of multicellular stopped sex organs. The male sex organs are called as antheridia, while the female sex organs are called as archegonia. This is antheridium and this is archegonium. In Funaria, both the sex organs are formed on the same plant and so it is considered as monoecious. However, the antheridia and archegonia are developed on different branches of the same plant. So, the funaria is autoecious. In funaria, the antheridia develops first before archegonia are developed, and thus avoiding self-fertilization and favors cross-fertilization. This condition is known as protandrous condition. Now we will see sexual reproduction in detail. First we will see antheridial heads. This is the diagram which shows longitudinal section of antheridial head. This is the actual photograph of the section when observed under microscope. So this is male branch and this is the female branch. Male branch produces antheridial head and female branch produces archegonial head. As you can see here, the antheridial head consists of male sex organ called as antheridium. So this is the antheridium, which is born in clusters at the apex of the main axis. These antheridia are intermingled with long sterile hair-like structures known as perigonial leaves or the pericaceal leaves. These antheridia are intermingled with long sterile hair-like structures known as paraphyses. So these are paraphyses. Both antheridia as well as paraphyses are surrounded by a large number of bract-like leaves called as perigonial or the pericaceal leaves. So these are the perigonial or the pericaceal leaves which are protecting antheridia as well as paraphyses. These perigonial or the pericaceal leaves forming a rosette called as perigonium or the pericaceum. These leaves are morphologically different from the normal foliage leaves and are closely set and spread out to form a shallow cup-like structure called as the splashing cup. As you can see here, the paraphyses are multicellular, long sterile hair-like filamentous structure. Each paraphysis consists of single row of 4 to 6 cells in the height with the subspherical terminal cell. So this is the terminal cell of the paraphysis, which is subspherical in shape. These terminal cells meet over the antheridia. The cells of paraphyses are rich in chloroplast, so they also perform the function of photosynthesis. These paraphyses also protect the archegonia. But the main function of the paraphysis is to retain moisture and prevent desiccation by holding water by capillary or by secreting mucilage. Dear friends, now we will study structure of antheridium. So this is the figure which shows different parts of the antheridium, and this is the figure which shows where the antheridia are born. Each antheridium consists of two parts, that is stalk and oval body. As you can see here, the stalk is multicellular and attaches the body to the main axis. The body is club-shaped and multicellular. The wall of the antheridium is made up of single layer of the cells and is called jacket layer, as you can see here. The cells of the jacket layer are thin-walled, polyhedral, flattened and contains chloroplast when the antheridium is young. After maturity, the chloroplast of the jacket cells turn red or orange colored chromoplasts. The jacket layer encloses a dense mass of haploid cells called primary androgonial cells. These primary androgonial cells divide and redivide by mitotic cell division, and the last generation of these cells is called androcyte mother cells. Each androcyte mother cells divides to form two androcytes. Protoplast of each androcyte develop into a single biflagellated sperm or antherozoid. So this is the diagram of antherozoid or sperm of Funaria. It is biflagellate, which means it contains two flagella. In mature unopened antheridium, the sperm or the antherozoids lie enclosed in their respective vesicles, forming a sperm mass. At maturity, few apical cells of the jacket become hyaline, large and thick-walled, forming a cap-like structure called as operculum. So as you can see here, these are the opercular cells which form the operculum. This operculum helps in the dehiscence of the antheridium. Now we will study dehiscence of antheridium. This diagram shows dehiscence of antheridium. It occurs only in the presence of water, which may either be provided by rain or by dew. The water is collected in the surrounding perigonial curve. The cells of the jacket absorb this water and become more turgid by the phenomena of imbibition. The contents of the antheridium also absorbs water and swells to develop hydrostatic pressure from inside, which ruptures the operculum, forming a pore like this. The hydrostatic pressure from inside also facilitates the oozing of the fluid carrying sperm mass through the pore. The sperms are still enclosed within their vesicles and either lie in the perigonial cup or in the surrounding water. Eventually, vesicles dissolve to set free the sperms in the surrounding medium. As you can see here, the sperm or antherozoid of Funaria is elongated, spirally coiled haploid body with two flagella at the anterior end. So this is regarding antheridia of Funaria. Now we will study archegonial heads of Funaria. So this is the diagram which shows longitudinal section of archegonial head. This diagram also shows the female reproductive organs in Funaria, and this is the actual photograph of the section when observed under microscope. As the name itself indicates, archegonial head consists of female sex organ called as archegonia. So these are the archegonia, which are borne in cluster at the apex of the lateral branch, which develops near the base of the main axis. As you can see here, the archegonia are intermingled with the paraphyses. These are the paraphyses which are present in between the archegonia. Paraphyses are multicellular, long sterile hair-like filamentous structures, but their apical cells are like the other cells. As you can see here, the apical cells of the paraphyses are like the other cells because they are not subspherical that we have observed in case of the antheridial head. Here also both archegonia as well as the paraphyses are surrounded by sterile leaves called as perigonial or the pericacheal leaves. So these are the pericacheal leaves which are protecting the archegonia. Here both pericacheal leaves and paraphyses are similar to the normal foliage leaves and no distinct pericacheum is formed. Now we will study archegonium of Funaria. So this is the diagram of archegonium of Funaria showing different parts. And this is the diagram which shows position of archegonium on the archegonial head. As you know, archegonia are the female sex organs. Each archegonium consists of mainly three parts such as stalk, venter and neck. As you can see here, the stalk is multicellular and massive. Next to stalk is venter. The broad region above the stalk is called venter. So this is the venter. The venter wall is 2 cell in thickness and encloses a cavity called as the venter cavity. So this is the venter cavity. In this venter cavity, there is presence of 2 cells. A small ventral canal cell is present towards the neck and a large egg cell is present towards the base. Then the last region is neck. The neck consists of 6 vertical rows of the cells enclosing a cavity called neck canal. In this neck canal, we can see 10 or more neck canal cells. The uppermost cells of the neck form cover cells or the lead cells. At maturity, the neck canal cells and venter canal cell disintegrate to form mucilaginous substance. This mucilaginous substance absorbs water and swells up to create a pressure which results in the separation of lead cells. So these cover cells or lead cells will be opened out later on. And now we will see the fertilization process in Funaria. Fertilization is possible only in the presence of water, rain or dew. So in this diagram we can see the fertilization process. This is the male gametophyte and this is the female gametophyte. On the male gametophyte, antheridia are produced and on the female gametophyte, archegonia are produced. The sperms or antherozoids enclosed within their vesicles either lie in the perigonial cup or in the surrounding water. Eventually, vesicles dissolve to set free the rhizoids in the surrounding medium. So here you can see that how the antherozoids they are liberated in the surrounding medium. The liberated antherozoids swim in water and move towards the archegonium. Here in the archegonium, at maturity, the neck canal cells as well as the venter canal cells disintegrate to form a mucilaginous substance. It absorbs water and swells up to create a pressure which result into the separation of the lead cells. The mucilage that oozes out from the lead cell contains chemical substance like the cane sugar. Now, the antherozoids are attracted by the chemical substance which is present in the mucilage and swim towards it. This movement of the antherozoids towards the chemicals which are present in this mucilaginous substance is due to the attraction of the chemicals, and this movement is known as the chemotactic movement. As you can see here, many antherozoids enter the neck, but only one succeeds in the uniting with the egg cell or the ovum, forming the diploid zygote. The diploid zygote here formed is the first cell of the sporophytic generation. Many archegonia may get fertilized, but normally only one zygote develops into the sporophyte. Wall of the neck and venter collapses on the zygote and it is called as the calyptra. So as you can see here, this is the calyptra. Later on, this young sporophyte is developed into the mature sporophyte of Funaria. Dear students, with this we have completed reproduction in Funaria. In next video, we will see sporophyte of Funaria. Thank you.